welcome to episode 19 of The Mom Game. I am here in the Vocal Now studios. Emily is not here. We have a lot to talk about with Emily, and we will get to that in just a minute. But first, I have to give a shout out to Cowden Cosmetic Dentistry, who is bringing you this episode of The Mom Game. They've brought you all of the wonderful episodes of The Mom Game. I actually just came straight from their dentist office. I got a really thorough cleaning, and my teeth feel so good right now. We highly recommend Cowden Cosmetic Dentistry for all of your dental needs as Texas continues to open things back up and we're starting to do, those necessary things that you need to do for your health and your wellness. Go to Cowden Cosmetic Dentistry, check in with them. They'll tell you what you need to get your teeth looking great and clean, most importantly. Cowden Dentistry can even handle all of your cosmetic dentist needs if you've been putting them off, if you've been putting off those exams and cleanings. Book an appointment now, and for a limited time, new patients will receive a free Sonic toothbrush. You've heard Emily and I talk about the toothbrush and just how awesome and efficient it is with your time when you're brushing your teeth. No matter what procedure you need, your comfort, safety, and the safety of the staff will be their primary concern. I can vouch for that. I've been there twice now in the past month or so, I guess, and everybody's in their masks, all the patients, all the dentists, everybody, gloves, all of that whole deal. So call Cowden Cosmetic Dentistry today at 972-380-6223, or you can shoot them an email at info@cowdencosmeticdentistry.com. So now we're going to bring in my partner, Emily Jones, who I have so many questions for. But Emily, first of all, it looks like you're in some sort of big swimming trough. Can you tell us what's going on here?
Well, Julie, we are in lockdown. I've been since last Thursday when my son received a positive COVID-19 test. So This is where I'm spending a lot of my time today. It is a stock tank.
I like calling it a trough.
Trough. We got it on Saturday, I believe. I was looking everywhere for inflatable pools. There's literally nothing in stock. The earliest it could get here was like next weekend. And so I just went on a manhunt. I got the idea on Twitter. Someone screenshotted a picture of this. So I immediately started calling everywhere. There's none anywhere to be found, but I found one in Graham, Texas, which is 90 minutes away from here. So my husband drove an hour and a half each way, very slowly on the way back to bring back this 8-foot.
Oh my gosh.
Where the kids can swim and I can tape the mom game.
Oh so, my gosh.
Here we are.
Well, I'm so glad that you found that. It looks lovely. It gets the job done.
I have a net. I clean it out. I'm not sure how long this batch of water will last. I'm sure I'll have to empty it here in the next day or so and then refill it because
right.
They're gross. So.
Yeah. Well, the water's clear. It looks pretty. A lot less upkeep than my pool, I'm sure. So there you go. Okay. So, not to bury the lead here, we need to back up. So we were in the studio here last Monday and had Tyler Sagan on the show. Really good show. I thought we killed it.
Played it.
And Tyler was great. And, we went on with our show and went on with our lives. And then we found out that Henry had tested positive, and I've texted with you just a couple times and I've read heard your Instagram updates, but that's all I know. So take us back to last week and kind of how did you find out? Why were you doing the testing? How did you get the news? What were those emotions like for all that?
So I told you that we played in a baseball tournament last weekend. After, or I guess, the weekend before 4th of July. And so from that baseball tournament, my kids went to be with family, and they were there until Thursday. The kids were supposed to go to camp this past Sunday, but before we could go to camp, you had to have COVID testing done and then quarantine for 7 days. And so then that means, being just around family at that point in time.
Right.
So we went first thing when I picked him up on Thursday, went straight to the pediatric urgent care clinic in our area, which was offering, testing for camp. And both of them got tested. They slayed the testing. They both said it touched their brain. The Q-tip touched their brain.
Oh, they had to do that one.
Yeah. And then we waited and we waited, and it was taking a little bit longer than I anticipated. And then instead of the nurse coming back in, the doctor came back in. I was like, oh dear. And so she said, I've got some bad news. Henry's tested positive. Hattie is negative. But, you know, obviously you could technically send her to camp. And immediately I was like, there's no chance. I'm not sending her to camp. So anyway, the kids were super upset. Super upset. And so was I. I was so excited I was excited for, you know, kind of a little break for sure for me as a parent. But I was so excited for them to get to just be kids and forget about all this craziness that's going on. And so anyway, the doctor examined both kids. She felt one of Hattie's lymph nodes was swollen. And she said it's likely, you know, very likely that she could have it right now. And it's just not showing up on the test. And so maybe in a day or two, she might show up positive as well. At that point, I wondered if I should get tested. She's like, I mean, you can, but if you're negative and with these kids, I mean, you're going to get exposed. So, you know, you might as well just ride it out. It's not going to do any good for us to test you. So at that point, I immediately called my husband. He had not seen the kids in 5 days. And he works, you know, has continued to work throughout this whole thing. And so, the McCoy mortgage team at Affiliated Bank, if anybody needs a refi or a home loan, I know a guy. So anyway, he's continued to work throughout this whole process. So I called him and I'm like, look, honey, you need to go get tested. If you're negative, then you just stay away. And so he went and got tested that day. He came back negative, and then he stayed in a hotel for a few days, and then now he's staying with his mom. So it's been a whirlwind. I go through, like, you know, we have good days, we have bad days. My kids freaking killed it. I'm so proud of them. But it's hard. Once you get a positive test in your house, like it starts messing with your mind, and you start second guessing everything. You start wondering about everything. Like I've always said this whole time, I'm not terribly worried if the kids or myself gets it, but I'm worried about exposing grandparents, exposing people that are vulnerable. And that's what's so scary, is that we were cruising along just fine, you know, and thought we were, you know, and we've followed the protocols for sure, but I will say we haven't lived under a rock. We let him play in that baseball tournament. We've gone to, you know, the swimming pool at the club we belong to. We haven't, it's not like we've holed ourselves up. I mean, we've, like I said, we followed protocols, and this just happened. We would have never tested Henry were they not going to camp. And so, but now that we have the positive test, we have to do, you know, what's the responsible thing to do.
Yeah. It's really, really hard to live under a rock with kids. And we've been doing the same thing. I mean, just picking and choosing tiny activities that you think are like meaningful to the kids. And of course it makes you second guess everything you're doing, but it's just so hard. What do you do? How do you know? So what, if any, symptoms have any of you guys had? Because I think that's the craziest. I mean, it's all crazy, but one of the craziest parts is just you can go through this whole thing and have zero symptoms, which means who around you has it and who's spreading it and who's not. But I think it sounds like you guys are, for the most part, doing okay. What have you felt or dealt with through this?
Well, so one of the things the doctor told us before we left the clinic was to just watch out for, you know, all the symptoms you usually hear about. But she said, look, especially too in kids, for rashes and diarrhea. I had never heard either one of those symptoms. So we've been watching out for that. Honestly, the only symptom that anybody's displayed, Henry has been tired, like not so tired that he actually even takes a nap. I mean, he's just like, oh, I'm tired. Like, so I think fatigue is a very common symptom of it. And so he's just been fatigued. He's just been tired. But other than that, the kids, you know, both had diarrhea one day, like one time. And I'm like, well, and that was like 3 days ago. So I'm like, that's probably all the sugar intake that they've had, because we've been, you know, inundated with sweets and sweet people sending us stuff and all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, we're eating s'mores at 2:30 in the afternoon. I mean, you know, so
oh my gosh,
that's
what you got to do.
Yeah. Right. So yeah, the kids were super, super bummed about camp. And so now I've just tried to make it like as fun as I can. I mean, we've done, Julie, so many projects, all the fun projects. We've tie-dyed t-shirts, I think like 8 of them. I mean, we've got the giant stock tank in the driveway. We have a green space in front of our house. that Henry and I will go play golf. We've made golf holes and we play up one way and down the other. And so we've just been trying to make the most of it.
Yeah. It sounds like fun.
Yeah, I mean, we're trying. I mean, listen, we record on Tuesdays, so this is a Tuesday. We're day 5 now of isolation.
Yeah.
So check back with me on day 9 and see
Oh.
how it's going. But yeah, I mean, so far so good.
Yeah, I thought about you yesterday because I have Ryder. So he's just going to a day camp like 2 days a week.
Okay.
Hey, Hattie.
Hattie wants to say hi.
I'm Julie.
They've also been doing each other's makeup.
Oh, it's beautiful. I love it. I like your tie-dye t-shirt too. Did you make that? Yeah. Hey,
yes, ma'am.
Are you loving Camp McCoy?
What, honey? Remember, you're going to lose your $10 if you don't go inside because I told you I offered them $10.
That's a lot of money. And you can order on Amazon and pick something out. You don't even have to leave.
I'm sorry. Hold on.
You're fine.
Y'all, not right now. Please. Sorry. Thank you.
Oh my gosh. Bless your heart. Bless your heart. You can't even escape.
Oh, no. Well, I will say I've never run and jogged and walked so much in my life. I just stay in the neighborhood. I'll close the gate and the kids are fine. And I just will walk circles around the neighborhood. And
oh my gosh. Yeah. Well, I was saying I thought of you because Ryder's doing this little day camp 2 days a week. And yesterday he woke up and I was so excited just to have a little bit of time. And he freaked out about not wanting to go, blah, 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 blah. So I kept him home and I was like, okay, that feeling I had is your feeling times a million, where you think they're about to go to camp. They're so excited to go do something. You're so excited to have some time. And now all of a sudden you're home for 2 weeks with the kids, can't leave the house. But it really does sound like you're making the most of it. And you know what, maybe they'll remember Camp McCoy more than they would remember anything else. To them, this could stand out as some fun time at home with their mom. So
yeah, I hope they do. I mean, and like I said, their attitudes have been great, and kids are so resilient. And thank goodness, they don't overthink things. Like I do.
Right.
So, because then, the doctor told us to quarantine for 10 days. And so then I wonder, after that 10 days, are people going to want to be around us? And I debated how much of this am I going to share? Should I say anything? And then I just thought to myself, I feel it would be so disingenuous. I've pretty much, lived my entire life being an open book and, especially my career and all that stuff. And so I just thought it would be, strange if I just, crawled under a hole for 10 days and then came out acting like everything was totally normal. So,
right. Well, that's why people love you. You're open and you're candid. And honestly, it's something that I think can be really beneficial to everybody, because everybody's wondering, what does this look like? What are you dealing with if you do test positive, whether it's your kid or you, and everyone's dealing with the same emotions that you're dealing with. So it's almost doing a public service by you just to be open and honest about it and talk about what you're dealing with. So props to you for that. So I know you said this has been really hard on you emotionally. You like to know what's happening every day. You like to know what you're looking at. You like to have your schedule so organized. So how are you doing emotionally? What are you struggling with the most?
It's been a little bit of a roller coaster. When I very first got the diagnosis, I immediately reached out to Erin Woodward, who is Chris Woodward's wife. Chris Woodward is the Rangers manager, and Erin is a friend of mine, and she's also an ER nurse. Mm-hmm. And so she kind of walked me through, the process, what she's been seeing, all that kind of stuff. She's also curated this 9-page paper. Since this whole thing started, she's been really interested in learning about it. And she's talked to tons of doctors and nurses across the country about what they're seeing that's working and all that stuff. It's anyway, really super impressive what she was able to put together. And then also included in that paper is a list of supplements to take for kids and for adults. And so I feel health-wise, I feel good, especially now that we're at day 5 of isolation and really none of us are showing any symptoms. So I don't necessarily have those health fears, but they do creep in sometimes that are like, oh, what are the long-term effects of having this? And you just wonder sometimes. But like I said, we're so lucky that it hasn't shown any signs yet, other than, like I said, the mild fatigue. So we've just been taking the supplements that she suggested to just kind of boost our immune systems, and my husband's taking those as well, even though he's not around us. So I mean, there is definitely that, those things creep into your mind. But I think more than anything, it's just like you think about, when is this going to be over? Like,
Right.
what is going to happen? When are we going to?
Right.
When is it going to? I hate saying
so
normal
much mystery.
again, but when is it? Yeah. When
So
is
much
this going to
mystery.
end?
Yeah. And you posted something that I was going to ask you about, just about how people are kind of receiving the information and taking it in, because what it said, and you can say it better than I can, but just like at first everyone's like, yeah, we're all going to get it, like, whatever. And then when you find out someone has it, it's kind of like, holy shit. I mean,
right. Like, and what happened? Like, what happened? Like, we were living, like, that's what happened.
Right.
And so there is this kind of, like I said, I wonder when our 10 days are up, and I do think I'm going to get tested again. We're all going to get tested again at some point in time. I mean, are people going to be okay being around us? Are my kids' friends going to be okay with them being around? I mean, you just worry about all those things. And I think too, the other thing that's scary is, like, I wasn't thinking twice about sending my kids to camp. I wanted them to go.
Right.
And I would have had Henry not tested positive, but then you think about it, God, he's been, how long is he running around with it? And how many other kids are out there running around with it? And who are they coming in contact with? And because that's what the scary thing is, just, you don't even know if they have it.
Right.
So, and at this time of, and people, and not to get political at all, but, people are like, those protesters, that's what caused the spike. Okay, was that a great situation? Absolutely not. I mean, that was not ideal for the circumstances. But let me tell you something. If you're sending your kids to camp and you're going to the pool and you're doing all this kind of stuff, that's contributing to it as well. Like, let's just, and I'm talking to myself as much as I'm talking to anybody.
Right.
But let's not, let's be realistic about what's going on here.
And I think what a lot of people are struggling with, myself included, is doing all of those things sounds good and makes sense. You don't want to spread it. But how long do we stay in our house?
Exactly.
How long can we stay in our house? How long can we not go to school and not work and not let our kids play? Because especially if these younger years of kids, like, so much of their development is going on right now, and their socialization with friends. And so it's just so hard because there's no end in sight. We hope, I feel like I've still heard New Year is kind of what they're thinking. They might have a vaccine in 2021, but I don't know. You also hear different things. And what are you hearing about if you have had it, having it again? Have you heard anything? I'm sure you've researched that with Henry.
And here's the thing about it.
Yeah.
You can talk to 10 different people who you trust and get literally 10 answers. So there's just, you could talk to one person that says, once you've had it, you're way less likely to get it again. You talk to other people that say, oh, it's mutated so much that you can get it again just as easily. There's a person told me you could get it again, but it will be much more mild. Like, it's just there. That's the problem, is no one has the answers.
That's so hard.
No one can tell you the right thing to do. You have to do what you think is best. And this is what I said. I did a radio interview yesterday with our friends Ben and Skin, and they said, asked me about, moving forward and what you've learned, all this kind of stuff. My whole thing is, as long as you're keeping that door open, and as long as people have the ability and the right, I guess I should say, to do those things without, while still being within the protocols that government officials have laid out for us, they're going to do it, because we trust that that what they're saying is going to keep us safe.
Right.
And so, like I said, we have a vacation planned in, 2-3 weeks. Like, should we still go on that? Like, there's all these questions that you have that, and again, no one has the answers.
Right.
Not me. It's you just have to answer them for yourself, and you just have to for yourself.
Yeah.
But my whole thing is too, like, with, having a kid that's tested positive, there's a tendency to not reveal that, which I likened it to like having lice, where you like feel embarrassed tell somebody you had lice, but you got to tell them because it's contagious and you need to make sure that other kids get
Exactly. That's the right thing to do. Yes.
Right. And so, I mean, I'm not saying you've got to broadcast on social media like I have, but I'm saying you have to tell the people who you've been in contact with for the last, and the incubation period, it also varies. Some people say 3 to 8 days. Some people say it could be up to 2 weeks. You just don't know. So, it's just so many questions. It's so confusing. It's so confusing.
Well, seems like you have a good attitude. You have a really badass pool trough thing that you're sharing with the world. You have a cocktail.
I do.
A Scout and Cellar spritzer.
I feel like,
that's all you can do, just write it out. And I've been thinking about you a lot. I don't want to bug you too much, but I'm so thankful that everybody's feeling okay. That's the biggest fears. I just want to check on you and okay, is today good? Yeah. Is today good? Yeah. Everybody feeling okay? And if so, you're almost there. You're almost to the finish line.
Every morning do like a evaluation, take temperatures. I ask about the poop, right. And then, check their bodies for rashes and ask them how they're feeling. And it, like I said, so far, so good. But I just don't, it's just crazy to think of how this is all going to work itself out. I'm still doing work. Obviously can't go to the ballpark and, media are allowed there now. And I would be there if not for this. So I do the Zoom calls every day and do the interviews with the players and,
that's
try
good.
to keep it as normal as possible.
Yeah.
It just stinks because I'm having to ask, I'll interview Lance Lynn today after his start and all I'll have is basically his line. So it's not like I've seen anything, but at the same time, the guys covering the team, the beat writers and stuff, it doesn't appear that the press box is extremely close to the field at the new ballpark.
Oh, really? So you might be in the same boat as them.
I'm not sure I'm missing a whole lot there. But yeah, work has been super great. They've been awesome. The Rangers have told me whenever me and my family want to go get tested again, they will arrange that. So that's been nice and comforting. And it's comforting to have them, looking out for us. And I'm able to pick their brains about things. And so that's been huge. And then and Joey was sweet. So Joey Gallo, tested positive. And I had known for a few days before it was announced. And so he asked about, how we were doing. And he was like, who's got it in your house? And I said, Henry. And I told Henry that Joey had it. It made him feel better.
Oh, yeah. It's like everybody gets this. Or not everybody gets it. Everybody can get it. Yeah.
Right. Joey said, tell him to stop kissing so many girls.
Oh.
So made Henry laugh. But one night this week, Henry was kind of down and, beating himself up a little bit for, he was saying he was the reason that, him and his sister couldn't go to camp. And I was like, buddy, it happens. And he said, I guess if Joey has it, it's not that bad.
That's awesome. There's a reason for everything and that they can have that little connection right now.
What is the reason for this happening right now? What is the reason that I have a stock tank in the driveway and it's 12:43 on Tuesday afternoon and I'm having
and maybe it's a slower pace of life for a little bit. Maybe that's good for you. Maybe that's the reason. I don't know.
I'm logging 6 miles a day, so I'm like, I might as well.
Oh, that's freaking awesome. I need to get that and log 6 miles a day. Well, okay, so you mentioned baseball. We can touch on that real quick. So yes, you said Joey Gallo did test positive. I know Ronald Guzman was missing some time, and then there were some question marks about that. So, but it seems like the Rangers are forging on, and baseball, they have a schedule. So what do you think about all of that, and how does this kind of affect your schedule in your life? What are you going to do for these games? Do you know?
So the plan is for me to be in the ballpark. We're going to broadcast all the games from the ballpark, road and home. So the plan is for me to be in the ballpark. I will not be allowed on the field. I am tier 3, Julie. Tier 3.
Welcome to my life.
Definitely not tier 1 and not even tier 2.
Yeah. I don't think I'm even 3. I mean, I got 90-day furlough, so I'm like.
Oh my gosh. Speaking of that, I wanted to tell you.
Yeah.
So I had a conversation with one of my sweet friends this week, and she was asking, her son was having symptoms, and she was asking me questions, and then she she's been so sweet about our podcast. She said, I just love listening to you guys. And she was like, I haven't told anyone, but I got furloughed. And I was so embarrassed. But when Julie said that said that she got furloughed, it made me feel so much better.
Aww.
And I was like, I said, I'm going to tell her that. And I was like, I said, I'm going to talk about it on the podcast. And then I was like, don't worry, I won't mention your name. And she was like, I know, I feel dumb. Here I am complimenting on you guys for being so transparent and open. And then I'm, hiding in secrecy. I was like, well, I mean, it's not, you don't have, I mean, whatever. It's to each his own.
Right.
That's just personality. But it did make her, I think everybody wants to identify with someone, right? Like,
yes.
You want to be in the same boat with someone,
And everybody is, whether it's your work or your health, things are
really
hard.
Shitty time. Yeah, right.
We could change our podcast to Furloughed and Isolated. We are very representative of 2020 right now. One of us is isolated with COVID in the family. I'm on furlough. We're just, just trying to survive, just trying to chat.
It's so funny.
I know.
Yeah, episode 19, Furloughed and Isolated.
I love it. Or
okay,
Merlot.
What about you?
Merlot.
What, baby?
Merlot.
That's right. Merlot.
That's
Merlot
right.
and Isolated. That's perfect. Episode 19. Okay, so what's your work sitch? I know everybody's clamoring to get you back.
I don't know why. People must just be bored. You always want to be like,
they love you.
They want to be clamoring for something all the time, whatever that is. So July 20th is my date, as far as I know.
Okay.
I hope, something could change. I don't know. I haven't really heard otherwise, but I'm planning on July 20th because I got to plan for childcare and all that. And then at the end of July, Kelly will be going to Edmonton, we now know, for at least a month. Kelly is my husband, for any new listeners, who is on the coaching staff for the Dallas Stars, who are also trying to get their playoff season back going again. So the end of the month, the Stars will be going to Edmonton. I've heard 3 to 4 weeks is like the minimum, and then just over 2 months, I think, is the maximum amount of time if they go all the way to the Stanley Cup Finals. I was reading something from Sean Shapiro yesterday that said, because Kelly doesn't even know everything yet. They're still working through all these details, but Sean must have found out families can go for the conference finals if your team makes it to the conference finals. But I don't know. I mean, I'll be working, and I don't know. We can't exactly just book a trip to Edmonton with a week's notice. I imagine that's pretty costly too. So we'll see, but I'm just basically planning for him to be gone for a couple of months and come back with the Stanley Cup. And that's fine.
That would be fine. I would approve of that. As far as baseball is concerned, the Rangers have been, they have, Joey and Ronald Guzman, who have yet to come back, and then Brett Martin tested positive as well, one of our relief pitchers. But, other than that, they've had a relatively smooth process compared to some other teams. Mm-hmm. And that's where I worry about baseball is you've got, teams that are flying through this thing and, relatively no issues, or very few of them. And then you've got teams like the A's who haven't even practiced yet. It's just at some point, how long are we going to go along this process before we're like, this isn't exactly fair? I mean,
right. Well,
we're talking about 2.5 weeks until the season starts, and you're asking teams to get ready that quickly. It's kind of crazy.
Right. And is it worth it to have baseball if it's not your full roster, and it's not all the guys you want where you want them to be, and all of that, because you just don't know. And you saw with FC Dallas too, it was almost like worst case scenario. 6 players test positive. They're trying to go to the return to play tournament in Orlando and had to back out of it. So I don't know. I mean, fingers crossed for the sake of all of our jobs and for the sake of people that are dying for sports to watch on TV, and for the sake of the players that we know love to play safely, assuming everything's safe, that hopefully this can at least give us 1 or 2 of these leagues to figure it out. You have to feel like you're not going to get 100% of the leagues back in action without things stalling out somewhere. But I'm glad the Rangers are going to get to play in their field. I'm glad you get to cover them. And I'm happy for the Stars, who at this point have no positive tests, with almost the whole team testing already. So that's awesome. Yeah, so that's good. I personally feel like having Kelly tested every 2 days is kind of my family's measuring stick. I don't know, if he had it, I would probably have it, my kids, blah, 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 or vice versa.
Right.
So I'm thankful for that too. And if I ever felt like I needed to.
That's got to give you a little bit of peace of mind.
It does.
Sure.
Yeah, it does. Because he's getting tested, I think, every Monday and Thursday. So, so far, so good there with everybody. And love ya. Hang in there, girlfriend. I want to say like, oh, I'll take your kids and give you some time. Like, no, I can't do that. I want to say like, oh, let's just go have a glass of wine. No, I can't do that.
No.
Like, I know you don't want more cookies. I know you've had a ton of cookies, or I'd send you some cookies.
So many, Julie, so many sweet treats, but people have been super nice. So I appreciate everyone's like kind words that they've said, well wishes, funny memes, trying to make me laugh.
Yeah.
Keep coming. It's working. So
Good.
I'm just gonna hang out here in my stock tank, drink my Scout and Cellar Epic Pursuit Rosé Spritzer.
Ooh, love
and
it.
I'm gonna live it up in isolation.
Live it up. Let those kids like flop around behind you, and you guys just have a good old time over there in your stock tank in Fort Worth.
Hey kids, Henry, Hattie, come say bye.
Yeah, I want to see them. So the picture on Twitter last night was makeup.
Yes, it was makeup. Wasn't a sunburn.
I know. Wasn't that funny? Hi, Hattie. Just wanted to say bye.
So there's Hattie. There's Henry. Henry, come on. Okay.
I don't have time for this.
Oh, he doesn't have time. He's a very, very busy man, and we totally understand that, Henry. No biggie. Hattie, you taking care of your mom over there? Give her lots of hugs, okay?
What did you say? Yes, ma'am.
Okay. She's like, what's happening? All right. We'll let you get back to it.
Fingers crossed for next week. I'll keep you posted on what's going on, of course.
Perfect. I'll be here.
All right, be good.
Hang in there.
Love ya.
Okay, love you lots. Peace out. Mom game out.